Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About Us with Uche, a platform that I've created for myself in order to spread knowledge and awareness. Before we get started, if you're new to my podcast, please subscribe, like, and share with your friends, your family, if you support what I do, so you can help me spread awareness. And also, if you're new to my YouTube channel, which is Let's Talk About Us with Uche, please subscribe, share, like, and make sure to hit that notification button so that every time I post a video, you'll be notified as soon as possible. For today, I'm going to be talking about Black Lives Matter. So this topic, I originally was going to wait till later on to talk about this particular topic, but considering some of the issues that's going on right now around the world, with the protest and George Floyd being murdered, and all the things going on in the world right now, protests, rioting, vandalism, and a whole lot of things. So it's definitely getting not just local attention, but also international attention. So I figured I might as well talk about this, the whole Black Lives Matter thing. So prior to starting, I do want to say that I respect every black person that's been murdered. I really do, and my heart cries out to every single one of them, their family, including Floyd, Aubrey, and the other people as well. All the black people, innocent, unarmed black people that have been murdered in this country unjustly. My heart cries out to them. To everyone who knows me on a personal level, everyone knows that I'm definitely pro Black Lives Matter. I am one of the biggest Black Lives Matter activists. However, one of my concerns about the whole Black Lives Matter thing is that I honestly feel like we're not pushing this narrative enough within the black community, unfortunately. And the reason why I say this is because, yes, the general public, they see that the whole Black Lives Matter movement, they see the signs, they see the outcries a lot, but we're not pushing it within our own community. We're saying that our Black Lives Matter, we're telling them that our Black Lives Matter, but we as the black people, do we believe that our Black Lives Matter? And the reason why I say this is because if you want somebody to take you serious, you have to take yourself serious. Again, I'm not negating the fact that a lot of black people have not sacrificed, their lives and their freedom, giving up everything that they have in order for black people to enjoy the privilege that they have today. That's not what I'm saying. I completely respect everybody who has, not just black people either, other black people too, who see some of the hurt within the black community and have stood up against it, and definitely fought with us. I definitely respect every single one of those people, but at the same time too, I'm not going to sit and pretend that everything is okay with the black community. So basically what I'm saying is, while we're out there marching and protesting and basically telling people to see our black lives and acknowledge that our Black Lives Matter, we need to put the same exact energy into our own community, because there's a lot of hurt within our own community that we can fix, and I do want to address some of those issues in the black community that I feel like a lot of people, we can seem to agree collectively on some of these issues. One of the things that I do want to talk about is black on black hate. This is very important for me. There's a lot of hate within the black community. I'm not even going to pretend that everything in the black community is all roses, because it's not. You know what I mean? I remember hearing so many times that within the black community, nobody disrespects the black race more than the black race. And this is very true. And for people who have watched the movie, I believe it's Queen and Slim, I remember a lot of black people after watching that movie, they were talking about it's about love or black love or struggle black love. That movie was barely about struggle black love, and it was definitely not about love. I believe that movie, this is just my opinion, I believe that movie Queen and Slim is a movie that basically depicts systemic racism that we black people face in this country, how the system is tilted against our favor, in the favor of the white man, and how, in spite of all that, this black man and this black woman, they were trying so desperately to basically rise above it all, and at the end only to get let down and disappointed by another black person. It's very sad. It's very sad, but this is a depiction of reality as black people in this country. So again, when I hear things like, Black Lives Matter. It's very important that you ask yourself, you as an advocate as of the Black Lives Matter, what are you doing within your own community? Are you perpetuating the hate within us as well? Because they're seeing it. Non-black people, they're able to see these hates, and they're even though that they may not necessarily be speaking up against it, they're definitely judging us by it. As a black person in this country, I like to think that I'm quote unquote successful to a certain extent. But I can't help but notice a lot of people who have opposed me and continue to oppose me. There's actually more people that look like me. I'm constantly being told, oh, you think you're better than everybody else. Oh, you're always doing the most, or this and that, little things like that. And, people call me a narcissist. You think you're being condescending and a whole lot of things. But really, in reality, what I'm doing is basically trying to hold my head above water so that I don't subject myself to the negative, nasty stereotypes that we have been subjected to for centuries by the people in power. So this black on black hate, we need to stop it. Another thing that I do want to talk about is a black on black murder. I'm not going to pretend that, just black people who murder black people. There's a lot of, I'm pretty sure there are statistics out there of white people murdering white people, maybe Hispanics murdering Hispanics, or whatever else is out there. I'm pretty sure, but I'm also not going to pretend that there's no black and black murder. For a group of people who are so sold on the idea of Black Lives Matter, killing your own brother, killing your own sister makes no sense whatsoever. And the more sad part is that some of these actions are being glorified in some of the things that we've adopted as culture. For example, like the black, not the black, but the hip hop and the rap industry. We glorify some of these violent behaviors, which is not right at all. So yes, the black and black murder is definitely not right. For a group of people who are screaming Black Lives Matter. If your Black Lives Matters, if you believe that Black Lives Matter, we wouldn't be having as much murders between our own people as we have today. Even if you don't participate in this behavior, you should always condone it. The exact same energy that you're giving out, advertising that your Black Lives Matter to the non-black people, you should be putting the exact same energy and speaking up against black on black hate, black on black crime. Another thing I do want to talk about is the sexism and misogyny in the black community. Again, this is not just only within the black community. I think this is more so human behavior. But again, as black people, collectively, we are the most disrespected, the most overlooked people on the planet. So you would think that a group of people that are the most marginalized, we would come together and not disrespect each other. I remember reading an article not too long ago that basically saying that the black woman is the most disrespected, the most overlooked, and the most underpaid person in America. Me personally, I think this is because of the black man. Now, I'm not dissing every black man out there. I'm a black man, and I don't think I am disrespectful to black women. I'm not. I try to be as respectful as possible, not just to black women, but to people in general. Treat people how you want to be treated. And sometimes, unfortunately, I get out of line, but it's never deliberately. And whenever I get called out or I check myself, I always apologize. But this is very true. I've seen so many articles and so many news and so many viral videos of black men disrespecting black women openly. I've never seen any other race in the world openly disrespect their own women like that. I don't know of white men, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see it very often, white men openly disrespecting white women, not even in movies. Even in movies, if you see a white man disrespecting a white woman, you know for sure that white man is about to die. Seriously, I don't even know Hispanic men who do it. I don't know about Asian men who do it, but black people, unfortunately, this negative, nasty behavior is so common within our community. I remember watching this really heartbreaking video about this couple in Disneyland. I believe it's a couple. I'm gonna try to put a link or put a video shot of this couple in Disneyland, and this man bitch slapped his wife or his baby mama or whoever it is, in front of everybody. That was just so disgusting, and just so, like, I can understand that if you have disagreement with your wife or significant other, whoever, but the fact that you put your hand on somebody a part of you in public. That is so disrespectful. And believe it or not, the rest of the world is watching. The fact that this went viral tells you a lot. Of course, they're not going to call you out on it. They're not going to comment because nobody wants to be called racist. Nobody wants to be called names. Nobody wants lawsuits and stuff like that. But they definitely see it. And this is one of the reasons why we get disrespected all the time. When you're sitting there talking about Black Lives Matter, they look back at how we treat each other. And they further disrespect us because they're like, yo, you don't even have unity within your own community. So how the hell do you expect us to respect you? So yes, definitely misogyny and sexism is definitely something that is very big in the Black community. And I'm not going to pretend that it's not. Another thing I do want to talk about is struggle love. Unfortunately, this is very common within the Black community. I remember I'm talking about this particular problem because I remember watching this video on YouTube about this girl that was riding hard for this man, and it was clearly struggle love. It was clearly, in my opinion, it felt like the man was not into her at all. Again, I don't really know the full story of this particular this couple, but she struck me as a Black woman that was striving so hard, working so hard to not be a stereotype, working so hard to keep her head above water, but she was settling for this man that was obviously not into her, and I from some of her Facebook posts, it looked like the relationship was abusive, that he put his hands in her. It was clearly toxic, and this woman was still in this relationship to the point that she even got pregnant for this man, conceived for this man, and had a baby for this man. But long story short, ended up that the man killed her and killed himself. They both ended up dead. The sad thing is not just that these two physically beautiful people are dead, but they're also more so because they brought an innocent child into this world. Can you imagine growing up and learning that your parents are not just dead, but they're dead in the hands of your father? That kid, by default, unfortunately, has already had a head start at failure, basically reinforcing this whole perpetual mentality, generational curse that I always speak up against. Another thing I do want to talk about is, and I feel like I'm going to talk about the struggle love in a later episode, talking about some of the issues with the struggle love and basically expanding how we can overcome, we Black people in general, especially Black women, how we can overcome and stop settling for people who are obviously not good enough for us. Another thing too I want to talk about is colorism. I do want to also talk about that. It mentioned that colorism is not just synonymous with the Black community. Colorism is, I like to think, it's a very international thing. There's colorism in Latin America, there's colorism in Africa, there's colorism in Asia, there's colorism in Europe. It's a universal thing, but this stems from more so white supremacy, being passed down to us as people of color. But within the Black community, there's a lot of colorism. I can't help but notice light skin this, dark skin this, red bone, yellow bone. How do you expect people to take us serious when we still have some type of caste system within our own community? I have heard so many ignorant things from Black men saying some ignorant things like, I would never marry a dark-skinned Black woman. I may sleep with her, but she would never be the mother of my child or something like that. Again, this is not all Black men. I'm a Black man and I don't say things like that. And I always try to check anyone who is as ignorant as this, but yes, colorism is definitely something that we definitely need to address, because this is very detrimental to not just us, but also our children, because these are some of the demons that we're going to be passing down to our children. How are we going to be marching and protesting that our lives matter to non-Black people when we're teaching our children the complete opposite? Even when we do have kids, we try to tell our kids that their lives matter, that as a Black person, the word is yours and this and that. We say those things because it's cute to say, but when it comes to practice, our actions speak the complete opposite. So yes, colorism, it definitely is a problem, and I feel like unfortunately, again, I'm going to elaborate on these in subsequent episodes, how colorism is being perpetuated, with some of the very successful Black men being pressured somehow, some one way or the other, to marry or reproduce with white women, or racially ambiguous or biracial women, or women that are not phenotypically or have that Afrocentric phenotype, in a desperate attempt to erase their Blackness, and conform to basically the status quo. So I'm going to be talking about that in a later episode. again, another thing too is black homophobia. Homophobia definitely is a huge problem within the black community. I remember this particular, I'm not quite sure, but I remember this particular video that I was watching on YouTube about, I think it's a black recorder or something like that. One of those people in the red carpets that record celebrities walking on a red carpet or something like that. And I remember one of the black artists out there, he was basically saying that he was basically calling out black artists for not recognizing the black reporters, because the black reporters are the ones who put them at the high pedestal that they were at before the white man discovered them, and now that they're big, they feel like they're too big for black reporters. He was basically calling them out. And I remember this video, all the black artists were walking by and this guy was yelling their names to basically ask for recognition. But right as he was doing that, Lil Nas X, I believe that's his name, the country singer, walks by wearing all pink, and it was crickets. And it's quite sad, I'm not going to pretend that I don't know why that he didn't try to get his attention, because it's an openly gay black man. Again, black homophobia is definitely hurting us more than it's helping us. We need to toss that mentality away. If we want to be black and we want to portray that our Black Lives Matter, we cannot be picky who we choose to represent or who we don't choose to represent. We are all in this together. Just like Jay-Z said, still nigga. Okay? The next thing I'm going to, again, all these little topics, I feel like I'm going to be elaborated on every single one of them in subsequent episodes. The next thing I want to talk about is mental health issues in the black community. Mental health issues in the black community is a hot mess. Yes, a hot mess. Mental health in the Western world is bad enough, but within the black community, I feel like we take the trophy home. There's a lot of issues within the black community. The black man is broken. The black woman is broken. A lot of this brokenness can be attributed to slavery and systemic racism and marginalization of black people for centuries, starting in Africa and Europe, Asia, everywhere you go. Black people are the most easily hated group of people. So yes, we're always the most overlooked, always the last to get hired, the first to get fired, the last to get promoted, the last to get recognized, the last to get picked at anything, especially black women, especially if you're darker skinned. I totally understand that. So at the end of the day, yes, these behaviors can definitely lead, these marginalizations and being ostracized within your own system, within your own country, can definitely lead to mental health issues. But ignoring these mental health problems is definitely not the answer. We need to acknowledge that there's a lot of problems within the black community, not just mental health. Mental health is not just for men either. This is something that is it's not gender based. A lot of men and black men have mental health problems. A lot of black women have mental health problems, and we all need to acknowledge this, and we all need to work on this, so we can grow up healed from the issues, the demons that that have been passed down to us by our parents, our grandparents, or our ancestors, and also the society. We need to heal from our hurt, so that our kids, when we have kids, we don't pass down these demons down to them, and now they have to deal with it and have to try to heal from the nonsense that we've passed down to them. So yes, we need to talk about the mental health issues, and I feel like a lot of the issues that we deal with in the black community, collectively deal with in the black community, can be directly attributed to mental health issues that nobody's talking about. A lot of people are just so hush-hush about it. We need help within the black community. Another thing I do want to talk about is the clown culture. I always talk about this clown culture thing. As a Nigerian coming from Nigeria, I didn't really understand it when I moved to here. When I moved to America at 15 years old, I found it very distasteful. It was just. But eventually, as I got older, living in America, I realized, okay, this is part of the black culture. This is one of the things that black America have adopted as part of their culture. And while I see the sense in it, it could be humorous, but this is actually quite detrimental to the black community in a whole. So for people who don't know what clown culture is basically, making fun of people, laughing out loud, like nothing's happening, making fun of your folks and things like that. I'm very okay with humor. I'm very okay with clowning and things like that, right? But it's extremely important that we're careful who we clown and why and how and when, because especially considering the fact that mental health is very rampant within the black community. it is important that we're not adding to this mess. We should be lifting each other up. Men, women, everything. We should be collectively lifting each other up as opposed to bringing people down. Again, within your circle, if you're trying to be funny, if you're trying to make jokes and stuff like that, yes, within people in your circle, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as all you're doing with your company is not just clowning each other and bringing each other down, then I'm 100% okay with that. But at the end of the day, humor is important. Yes, lift each other up as well. So, but within your circle, when you're clowning and doing all that within your circle, whoever is within your circle is more than likely going to, know that this clown is not coming from a place of hate. It's more so coming from a place of being social, or whatever you want to call it. Another thing I do want to talk about is the whole physical and spiritual health. Physical, a lot of black people, we suffer. I think I'm not quite sure of the statistics. I'm going to look it up, but we have a lot of diabetes. We have a lot of obesity. We have a lot of heart problems. We have a lot of high cholesterol, hypertension. The list just goes on. Cancer, this and that. I know that a lot of it can be attributed to low income, and not everyone can afford good health care and things like that. Yes, but for people who can, we need to take more responsibility. Take responsibility for our physical health, and if you're one of the people that cannot afford basic health, healthcare or physical health or stuff like that, at least what plans are you making to get out of that predicament? What are you doing for yourself? Another thing too, again, spiritual health. Spiritual health is very important. For me, spirituality is extremely important. Ever since I've become very spiritual, life has gotten much clearer. I'm starting to see a whole lot of things clearer. I'm questioning a whole lot of things more. Not to be rebellious, but just in hopes to seek understanding. I challenge myself, I challenge the world, I challenge everyone around me. Just because you say something is the way it is, doesn't necessarily mean that it is the way it is. We've been brainwashed to only take or hold certain people to the standard. Standard in certain places, it has a particular look, a particular gender, a particular race, but we need to challenge that. And I feel like spiritual health is something that can help you develop that kind of mindset. And I feel like it's something that's greatly lacking within the black community. And this is not just black American community, by the way. This is also international, in Africa as well. Spirituality, it is extremely important that I do give this disclaimer. That spirituality is not synonymous to religion at all. You can be religious but not spiritual. I believe that religion is a medium through which some people can gain spirituality, but you don't need religion in order for you to be spiritual. My definition of spirituality is the belief that there's more to us than the physical. There's more to us than the physical. So I believe that there are three things that make up a person: physical, mental, and spiritual. Unfortunately, we patronize too much on physical health and physical appearance, and we capitalize on it a lot, and we don't focus too much. We don't focus enough on mental health, and definitely nowhere close to spiritual health. And this is something I challenge every single black person to focus on, not just physical, but also mental and spiritual health. Another thing I want to talk about, again, I'm gonna elaborate on this whole spiritual health and spirituality and mental health and things like that. Another thing I do want to talk about is the whole baby mama culture. Again, please don't take this the wrong way. This is not an insult to any single mothers out there or any single fathers out there. There's nothing wrong with being a single father. There's nothing wrong with being a single mother. But it's just more so that the commonality of this behavior is what just makes me very sad. It's been projected, advertised as a norm, as the cool. We see a lot of the top celebrities having a lot of kids out of wedlock, and for the wrong reasons. I can understand, divorce happened. You lose a partner, someone dies, and you have to pick up from where the person left behind. I understand that, but when you're deliberately, becoming a single parent, because of selfish reasons, because you're looking for a bag, or you're looking for attention, you're looking for fame, or you're looking for recognition, whatnot, that is very selfish. And by default, the fact that you're not having that kid because you want that kid is not your priority. Your priority is recognition or money. The fact that kid that you're having is not your priority gives that kid a head start at failure, because that kid is not being valued enough. That kid is not being, at least the way that they should be, in order for them to survive this crazy world, especially as a black child. As a black person in this country or in this world, life is already harder compared to other races. So having a child, or a child being born to a parent that doesn't even want them, like, you're not my priority type of situation, that definitely leaves the kid further disadvantaged, and then of course a parent that's going to do something that's selfish obviously has some demon in them, him or her, and unfortunately you being exposed to that kid is going to be exposed to your demons, and they're going to more than likely acquire those demons, and become more broken, sort of like you, therefore reinforcing the whole perpetual mindset and generational curse, which we need to break. Baby mama culture is not funny, it's not cute, it's not admirable. We should not support this. It is a hot mess. Another thing I do want to talk about, again, I do want to mention that I'm going to be elaborating on these, but this one is quite big. It's the whole black Americans versus Africans, the disparity between these two groups. I think this is quite laughable and sad, but I do understand the issue. I'm going to be talking about this in more in depth next in a different episode, why some of the issues exist between these two group of black people, and some of the things that we can do to basically heal from it. But there's this disparity between black Americans and Africans. Africans don't like black Americans don't like Africans. Of course, this is just generalization, but this is not necessarily true, However, every black person in this country has definitely, or for the most part, has some type of knowledge to this disparity. We need to stop hitting each other. If we're going to survive this whole Black Lives Matter, we need to understand that we stand together. Again, in Jay-Z's voice, still nigga, okay? Doesn't matter if you're black from Africa, doesn't matter if you're black from the Americas, doesn't matter if you're black from Europe. We're still black, and we're still the most marginalized, the most disrespected, and we're not going to elevate from this narrative if we keep hating each other. This superiority complex, black Americans cooler, Africans are smarter, whatever it is that, whatever the dynamic is, it is extremely unhealthy. And I'm not going to ignore the Caribbeans as well, because there's another set of problems going on over there. Again, I'm going to be addressing this in depth in subsequent episodes. Another thing I do want to talk about is the whole standing celebrity thing. We stand celebrities too much. Okay, I don't have a problem with rap and hip hop. I know that the mainstream media or the general public would try to tell you that rap and hip hop is the devil and blah blah blah. I personally don't think there's anything wrong with rap and hip hop. I think that is part of black culture, and I definitely respect this black culture, especially considering the fact that a lot of the ancestors for these black people were ripped from Africa, and they were stripped of their culture, stripped of their identity, stripped of everything that they had, and they still managed to create a culture of their own. I definitely have to respect that, but I also will not pretend that rap has not become toxic over time. I believe that originally rap was supposed to be a thing of positivity, basically a platform black people, specifically black men, would get on to talk about some of their marginalization, some of the things that they've had to deal with, in America, ghetto, this, everything that they've had to struggle with in America. But unfortunately, just like I always say, the devil finds a way to penetrate into everything good. And hip hop and rap has become one of the avenues through which the devil has definitely penetrated in order to further tarnish the image of black people. So again, I'm not against hip hop, I'm not against rap, I'm not against some of these celebrities. I definitely have them on my iPod. I listen to them at the gym when I'm exercising and whatnot. But I feel like I have the intelligence to discern between entertainment and fantasy. I understand that these people are entertainment, but you will never catch me trying to emulate any of these people. You know what I mean? And it's very dangerous, very, very dangerous when we start standing these people, when we start looking up to them, when we look up to them as our standard. That is extremely dangerous. And before anyone starts saying that it's not just black people who have rap culture or whatnot, there are people, white people and stuff like Eminem and stuff like that. But the difference between people like Eminem and people like Lil Wayne is that there's a lot more other options for say a white boy. If a white boy, let's say 10 years old, is watching Eminem on TV, that white boy understands that he has options. When you look at all the top presidents in America, all the presidents in America for the most part, exception of Obama, obviously, they're all white men. You know, when you look at all the top CEOs in the world, or at least in affluent countries, they're all white men. All the people who make big moves, even in Hollywood, white men have been overly presented as the standard. The same thing is applicable with white women as well. There are white women in rap, hip hop, and whatnot. You know what I mean? But a white girl who is watching these people, she understands that she has options. There are white women in politics, there are white women in business, there are white women in education. You know, I'm not saying that there are no black people in these departments. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that those black people outside of entertainment, we are not marketed enough. We are not advertised enough. We're not pushed enough, you know. So it is extremely important that while we're enjoying some of our top celebrities, we enjoy their music and stuff like that, we don't look up to them as our role models. Because if you're looking up to them as your role models and trying to emulate them, your kids are doing the exact same thing. And it's very dangerous with kids, because a lot of kids, even unfortunately a lot of adults, don't have the intelligence and don't have the ability to discern between reality and fantasy, and that gets dangerous. We need more positive role models. We need to support each other to embrace other departments in life, that it doesn't have to deal with entertainment or rap or hip hop or, you know, music or whatnot. You know, nothing wrong with entertainment, nothing wrong with rap, nothing wrong with hip hop, but we need diversity. Everybody else has diversity. The Asians, the Hispanics, you know, whatever else is out there, we need more diversity. Again, I'm not saying that there's no diversity within the black community, but it's just that when it comes to success within the black community, there's a face of success, entertainment, and we need more so that our kids, at least our children, can have people to look up to. The last thing I do want to talk about is education. I think education is very lacking, not just in the black community, but in the world in general, but especially within the black community. We need to educate ourselves. And when I talk about education, I'm not just talking about college degrees. You know, there's tons of resources out there. Of course, get educated, go to school, you know, get your bachelor's and get your master's and things like that. Educate yourself and, you know, have a degree, not just any type of degree. Don't go wasting your time and getting so much loans and getting a degree that's going to be useless for you. No, you know, be pragmatic. I think I'm going to be making a video and also a subsequent episode explaining how you can choose to basically how to deduce what kind of majors that you should probably go to school studying. Because I know a lot of us, we don't have the luxury of having families or family members who've been to college or know any better, so we kind of just walking in the dark, really. So I think I'm going to be talking about that in subsequent episodes. But yeah, educate yourself, go to school, get your bachelor's, get your master's, get your PhD, whatever it is that you get. Yes, you know, so that you can be employable, so you can have a shot. You can benefit from the privilege of being an American, you know, or at least a privilege of being educated. But then outside of education, outside of school, educate yourself. Read. For the first time ever, more than ever, we have access to so much knowledge. YouTube is my best friend. I didn't have the luxury of being raised in a family where mother and father were there for me. They supported me through thick and thin, you know, that kind of stuff, or motivated me, inspiring me. I look up to them, that kind of stuff. No, I didn't have that. A lot of what I had, a lot of my knowledge, a lot of what I've grown to be today as an adult, the man that I am today, that I'm very proud of, has come from YouTube, networking with the right people. And I'm going to also talk about the whole networking thing, you know, networking with the right people, reading so many articles. I don't think there's a single day that goes by that I don't read an article, that I don't brainstorm. I'm always talking to my friends, asking questions, researching, watching YouTube videos, watching TED Talks. You know, educate yourself and open your mind for knowledge, you know. And when you start seeking knowledge, you start to see that a whole lot of things that we think are big deals, whole lot of our troubles or problems within the black community and also the human race is actually some simple stuff that we can collectively work on, you know. But education, knowledge is power, brothers and sisters. Seriously, again, this is not to disrespect the Black Lives Matter movement. I am a huge advocate for the Black Lives Matter. I've always been saying it. I do believe in Black Lives Matter, not just because I do believe that Black Lives Matter, not just because I'm a black man or a black person, no, but because It is the right thing to do. The exact same reason why I'm a feminist. I believe that everyone should be a feminist. It is the right thing to do. When people are marginalized, when people are constantly being overlooked, it is very important that you lift them up so that we all get on the same level. Because truly, we're all the same. Whether you like it or not, we're all the same creatures. We all have the same elements in our systems. We're all going to die the exact same way. And we will be judged based on our actions, how we treat ourselves, how we treat each other, and how we treat the world. So yes, while we're protesting, while we're marching, while we're, basically telling people to see that our Black Lives Matter, it is extremely important that we're preaching the exact same things with the exact same energy within our own community. We have too much to fix, and the things that I listed are just very little. Okay, there's a lot of things that I'm pretty sure if you search on the internet, news articles, websites, YouTube videos, tons and tons of YouTube videos that's been dedicated to talking about issues within the Black community. There's a lot of it. So yes, while we're out there protesting and saying that we want them to recognize us, we need to recognize ourselves. How do you expect someone to love you when you don't love yourself? How do you expect somebody to respect you when you don't respect your brother? Even the Bible said, I'm not a huge Bible fan, no offense to anyone who is. Even the Bible said, if a person says that they love God, but they hate their brother, you're a liar. The same thing too. If you're out there asking people to respect you, recognize you, validate you, but you're not doing the same thing for your brother or your sister, you're a hypocrite, So we need to, charity begins at home, because at the end of the day, we're all blacks. At the end of the day, just like Jay-Z said, still nigga. Again, this is the very end of this episode. Thank you very much for tuning in to this episode. If you enjoyed my content, please like, share, subscribe, download. And also please visit my social media platforms. My Instagram is Let's Talk with Uche. My Facebook is Let's Talk About Us with Uche. My YouTube is Let's Talk About Us with Uche. And my website is www.letstalkaboutus.org. That's letstalkaboutus.org. And if you really appreciate my work and you do want to show support, or give me suggestions, or send me links, information on things to talk about, please send me an email at letstalkwithuche@gmail.com. Thank you very much, and see you in the next episode.